Your home?
It was. And it was beautiful.
Hot Wheels! Beat that!
Wish I could turn back time.
The good old days. When the mama oh, fuck off.
So does anybody remember Adobe Flash Player? No?
Me neither.
It has been 1 year now since the end of life from Flash Player, a plugin that allowed tons of different types of media to play, notably Flash games, but also a lot of video content. Even YouTube itself used to run off the plugin. So what happened? Well, the general consensus is that it was mostly done for security reasons because users were able to exploit it to do malicious things. But who cares? We're here to talk about awesome Flash games, particularly the ones that I played, because this is my retrospective and I want to talk about my own nostalgia, damn it. So if you don't see your favorite Flash game from the early 2000s in this video, well, I mean, it's my video. Watch someone else. I don't care. Let's go. When I wasn't at home playing VeggieTales games like a good Christian kid does, I was at school. In 2004, I would have been in 4th grade, and I remember this because my friends would show me websites like Arcade Town. Soon after, I learned about websites like Neodelight.com and MoFunZone, which I actually learned years later, like literally decades later, that this website was actually infamous for scamming game developers that tried to put Flash games on their website and trying to take all the credit for it, or just not properly compensating them just so they could throw up that MoFunZone.com logo on all of their games and act like they're the ones producing the content when really it's the indie developers that are, and that this was actually a really big issue.
What is this? I can't get off! What is this? I'm stuck! What is my life? I can't do it, John! I can't either! I can't fucking do it anymore!
Regardless, I would spend most of my time browsing Flash games on this website. And if I had to start my Flash game journey somewhere, I would say what started my love and appreciation for Flash games was this awesome little gem called Alpha Force. Well, these are some absolutely riveting menus. There were definitely better title screens for Flash games in 2004. Well, let's just start the game and see if things improve. Yo, this shit slaps! Alpha Force is a side-scrolling shooter where you control this red-headed anime girl piloting what looks to be, I don't know, it's not really like a fighter jet, it's more like a blimp. I don't know, I'm not an aircraft enthusiast. Anyway, this game is actually kind of challenging, and I know this to be a fact because I've watched other YouTubers play this.
I used to play this when I was a kid. I haven't played it in a long time, so we're gonna find out just how bad I am. Flame! Space burnings!
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
No! Come on! I just started for the first time. Are you kidding me?
I also know that this game is challenging because I'm still struggling with it even over 15 years later. Now keep in mind it's still pretty easy for what it is. It's not a bullet hell. What makes this game fun is the power-ups. And if you're just paying attention and not getting caught off guard and letting your guard down by these kind of cheap shots that the game throws at you, you'll get through the game no problem in about 30 minutes. Maybe more, maybe less, depending. So the game offers multiple weapons. You get your plasma, flame, phaser, and missile. And you can upgrade them, I think, 4 times in total. And from there, what you can do is you can either keep your weapon, or if you get hit, it powers down. And obviously, you lose a life, and when you lose all your lives, you get a game over, and you honestly get a pretty intense game over screen. The cute redhead girl was just another soldier caught in the fog of war. God damn you, military-industrial complex. So in addition to the aforementioned flamethrower, phaser, missiles, and the plasma gun, you also get bombs, which you are given a very limited supply of, and maybe you can pick up one or two on the stage. I only use these on bosses. Every boss is at the end of the stage, and it's going to have its weaknesses shown at the beginning of the stage before you fight it, so you know where to hit it. But there's enough indications given to where you know where to hit the boss, even if you're not paying attention to the initial, like, hey, the weaknesses are here screen. This game draws a lot of its inspiration from a game on the Super Nintendo called UN Squadron, which also has a character in this little TV screen in the top center of the screen and reacts to what you do in the game. Flash and just the internet in general is full of people making poorly made homages to classic games. This, however, I think is a really good recreation of what is an excellent classic side-scrolling experience. But I know what you're probably thinking. This is the early 2000s. Where's all the angst and gratuitous violence involving furries? Wait, nobody was asking for that? Well, for those of you that wanted some razor blades with your 9-inch nails, this is it. Don't say I didn't warn you. This is a game called Zombie Squirrel Attack from 2002, and this intro cutscene is a parody of itself. Oh god, I think I just cut my eyes looking at all of this edge. So this is a first-person shooter where you have to kill these zombie squirrels, and you yourself are a non-zombified squirrel with a very, very, very bad temper. And you have to basically annihilate these poor zombified creatures and duck behind cover to stay safe from their attacks, which will kill you if you're not being careful. Like most games, every stage has a boss that's going to be a lot more tougher to kill than all of the weaker enemies that were thrown at you throughout the stage. The stages are very short. I think this first one is under a minute, but this one is a zombie with a gun that can actually aim, surprisingly. Once you take care of this guy, you move on to the second stage, which throws this guy at you more than once while it throws the weaker enemies at you, and then you get to that boss. Do you get the picture? This game is very repetitive and really boring, but I thought I was cool as shit when I was 9 years old, and hey, they say that video game violence, you know, influences real-world violence, but I turned out okay. I played this when I was 9 years old, except I don't worship God anymore, I worship Cthulhu. Okay, so let's tone down the graphic violence with this next game. I mean, like, tone it down 5% or so here. Thing is a game where you play as a thing, shooting other things with the many guns that you may acquire. And this honestly has a really cool character customizer with lots of options for both what you can wear on your head and also on your body. It's almost too many options, especially for a game that came out around this time. It makes it really difficult to decide, but you know what? I'm gonna have to go with hedgehog spikes and a suit and tie.
I'm Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog! I'm Sonic! I'm the world's fastest hedgehog!
So this game, Thing, would be the first of many Thing games. with, I believe, there's 4 main games, Thing 1 through 4, and then there's also the Thing Arena games. This, however, is an interesting start to what would be essentially a Flash game franchise that you could find on a website called Crazy Monkey Games. I can't play these games anymore without Disturbed's The Sickness album flaring in the background because it's just not the same, you know? I do think that Crazy Monkey Games' magnum opus would have to be Raiden X. Damn, that intro is so good. So you can't really talk about Raiden X without talking about, well, first of all, the Raiden franchise and the original Raiden 1 and 2, along with their re-release on the PlayStation, the Raiden Project, and then inspired by those games, someone named Googly would end up creating Flash games based off those called Raiden 2S Part A and B. Which, honestly, looking back, Raiden X completely blows them out of the water because Raiden X is actually a pretty faithful remake of the original Raiden 2 for the arcade.
By the way, this is important, so write it down, because I'm gonna do like a thing where I blow your fucking mind.
But I actually don't know if it's pronounced Raiden or Raiden, so I'll be pronouncing it both ways for this video. Please don't get mad at me. There is the original Raiden, which is a game made in and released in the glorious year of 1990.
Whoa! Ride the roller coaster of flavor with Capri Sun!
Hey! Ever ridden an
Extreme Jelly Beans!
Well, now you can with Extreme Bellies!
Hey! Ever go through a door that looks like a penis and testicles?
I completely forgot what we were selling.
Part of a good breakfast can help bring out the tiger in you.
Multiple platforms, notably the arcade, but also the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and later the mentioned version in the Raiden Project on the PS1, which contains remastered versions of both Raiden 1 and Raiden 2. And oh my god, this game. So, I played Raiden X, and I loved it. I loved the soundtrack, I loved the shoot 'em up gameplay, the bullet hell stuff was really challenging and fun. But I actually never got a chance to play this game until emulation as an adult proper. However, I did play the first Raiden game in an arcade way back, I think in around like 2005 when it was in like a pizza parlor. And I found it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the game that I played in Flash, except it's an arcade version. And I played it, and I was like, well, this kind of sucks. I think the Flash version is better. But I think it's just because I was playing stuff inspired by Raiden 2 rather than Raiden 1. Raiden 1 is actually a really good game. I think Raiden 2 is just a superior game. The first experience with Raiden that I had would have been Raiden 2S Part A and B, which were created by the same person that made Raiden X, Googly, although these were released years before that, so I actually played these first, and then Raiden X came out a year or so later, and that was fantastic. But these games, looking back, are not very good. Don't get me wrong, they're perfectly playable, but they really needed a little less bullet spam, I think, because it would be virtually unbeatable without infinite continues. The bosses take way too many hits to kill, and whenever you die, you lose all the upgrades to your weapons, so it's going to take you even longer. I think it's perfectly reasonable to say that nobody can beat this game without dying, especially since you're going to be in lots of scenarios where you even fight bosses back to back, because after you fight the third boss, you have to fight what is, I guess, the main villain of this game. Even though that it's like a scripted fight, you could still die. Raiden 2S Part A is pretty okay, I guess. Raiden 2S Part B is definitely going to be a little bit better of an experience for you. There's still a lot more of just that bullshit that you're going to experience, though, from the first game. So honestly, if you're going to play a Raiden Flash game, these honestly have been completely outshined by Raiden X, and I'm going to talk about that now because that's the entire point of why I'm even bringing these up.